Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. This is a serious one, so let's get to a serious intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate all the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So am I a hypocrite? Is there a lot of hypocrisy going on? Is Gunner and Dubs hypocrites? Do I talk about people's wives? Well, let me tell you, sometimes I am a hypocrite, I guess. Hey, if that's the title you want to give me, that's the crown I'll wear that day. You know, I'm going to do it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. You know, I'm going to do it to the fullest. I'm a counterpuncher. So you swing at me, I'm going to swing back. Let's talk about this. Yesterday, I did a video about LA Eyekon and, you know, the interview that was done with Compa Raider and Rich Homie Juan. That's a cool name. Hey, my name is Rich Homie Juan. Orale Juan. Right? They did an interview and there were some things put out about LA Eykon's wife. Right? And I did a video on it and I thought it was not classy. Showed no class. And the reason being is they were talking about a man's wife who had zero to do with the shenanigans. Wasn't like he disrespected their family or their wives. And they were talking about something that happened, a relationship she was involved in allegedly with a certain somebody 8 to 10 years prior before he ever got with her. Like, damn, bro, you don't talk about a woman's past like that. She ain't never done nothing that. It was just a tricky situation to why her name was even brought up, you know, and I thought it was disrespectful. I think she's a very classy woman. I think she, you know, handles her business, minds her own business, does her interviews, does what she does on her channel. And she should have not been drugged into that bullshit just because someone doesn't like her husband or because they feel played or they feel like her husband did them dirty, you know? It wasn't like I said, her husband was talking shit about their family, their wives or nothing like that. They just decided to hit him with their best shot, to hit him where it hurts, you know, to disrespect his family, basically to try to throw a stick in the spokes and cause tension and friction between him and his old lady. And, you know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I could care less about LA Eyekon. I think he's an arrogant fat fucker. Straight up. I think he's very arrogant and he talks a lot of shit and he sneak disses and he disrespects and he's a snake. All them things that I've heard about him, I see it every time he talks. You could tell, right? Just a narcissistic, unenergetic fat person. Just one of those dudes is just like, man, bro, that couch is struggling. Get off of it. You know, you're sitting on that couch like you're sitting on everyone else's back trying to make money off everyone else. That's how I feel about LA Eyekon. I'm going to be honest with you. But I don't feel the same way about his wife. You know, I feel that she's his better half. You know how they always say my better half? She's his better half. So I would never disrespect her because there's no reasoning to. And I'm definitely not going to talk about a woman's past history behind closed doors, who she was with, what she was doing while she was with them. I don't know, and it's none of my business, and I don't care. But yesterday I was called a hypocrite. A lot of people were calling me a hypocrite. Gunner, you talk about people's wives. Gunner, you talk about people's families. Gunner this, Gunner that. Gunner does everything, right? Gunner is the role model for a lot of motherfuckers that want to do this shit on YouTube. But let me explain something to you. Right? And Dubs was getting a lot of the same hatred because he did a video. Oh, you're a hypocrite, Dubs. You sit there all day with Gunner. And, you know, Gunner disrespected this dude's wife and this dude's wife. Yeah, but do you guys know this full story? Do you guys know the reasons why the disrespect even got to that level? Well, let me explain something to you. So we're going to start off with Flaco from a convict's perspective first. You know, me and Flaco were friends at one point. Way prior to me knowing that he was a wire wearer person, right? That he did whatever he did in the past. I didn't know these things. Didn't find them out till everyone else found them out, right? We were friends. And at one point, I invited him to my home. Now, at the time, I was living with my sister. You know, we were, hey, it was cheaper. Hey, it was cheaper to keep, right? We were living together. Me, my sister, her old man. We had a home together. You know, you pay half the rent, I pay half the rent. Shit, it's expensive. And everything was good. So when he came, I picked him up at the airport and he was invited into the home. He needed to use the restroom. So he went into my sister's home. Now, at the time, I wasn't real big on YouTube. I was barely making money at my job. I was working and doing YouTube and trying to do everything, trying to do the most, right? I had my kid, full custody of my kid. So I had a lot going on. I was bringing a lot to the table. So our home wasn't very big. You know, it was a modest, just a 2-bedroom home. And my daughter had the room. And then, of course, they had a room and I slept in the living room. I'm just going to be totally real, right? I didn't have money like that. I'm from the ghetto. And, you know, Flaco came to, but it wasn't a dirty home. It was no roaches, rats, roaches, or shicey pro, none of that. He comes to the house. Hey, I got to take a piss. We're going to go to the casino. I picked him up like, hey, we're going to go to the casino. He was going to stay at a homeboy's house that actually lived up there too. And everything was good. So he goes in, uses the restroom, meets my sister, meets my brother-in-law. Hello. They meet us at the casino. We have a good time, whatever. If you guys recall, people that have been following me for a long time, we actually went live from the casino and all that. So a couple years pass. And what a lot of people don't know is Flaco, we used to talk every day behind the scenes on the phone. And he would ask me, you know, to help him make thumbnails. I made several of their thumbnails for A Convict's Perspective. And we were friends. And, you know, I knew Flaco was lightweight hating at a certain point. He got to a point where my channel was blowing up. And so he was feeling some type of way. But still, that's his emotions, his feelings. I can't dictate another man's program. Wait up. I have to sneeze. One more time. Ready? Set. Oh, I farted too. I just keep it real. So anyways, right? Now I know people, why do you hold it when you sneeze? Because I don't want to fucking spit everywhere. So now Flaco starts telling me about a woman he met and how he really likes her and she lives out of state. She has a few kids and whatever. And I just got an eerie feeling, a bad feeling, like, you know, because he was sending money and doing what he was doing, his business. But I was like, hey, bro, you might not want, you know, you got full custody of your son. You might not want to just jeopardize everything for some woman you met on the internet. Like, for reals, bro. You know, I was just giving him friendly advice. He's going to ultimately do what he wants to do. Ultimately, we all know what happened. He ends up going and marrying the woman and moving out of state. And from that point on, from that exact moment on, we've seen a super decline in Flaco's get down, and ultimately to the point now where he's doing 15 years in prison. Okay? I try to warn him. You know, I'm not going to say the total blame was on the woman because a man does what he does, but that was the initial decline. The relationship took a hectic turn. You know, it did a Chicano U-turn on him. And he was always, and people seen he started to drink, he started to use drugs. He went crazy, man. The woman literally drove him crazy. So a couple years pass, I'm in Vegas. And for those of you that recall, I'm in Vegas and I'm doing a live. I'm at the Rio at my hotel room. I'm waiting on my plane the next day. So I'm just having a few drinks, enjoying myself. And I'm doing my live. And all of a sudden a troll gets on my live. But this particular troll starts speaking on my family and certain things that only Flaco was told or would know. Okay. And he starts speaking about, oh, I remember, hey, the house, this is now. He started describing the home that I was living in with my sister at the time, right? Only he was there. Never invited anyone else. No one ever knew, nothing like this. So I knew it was Flaco fucking playing games. So I got mad. I had a little buzz. I got upset. So I was like, bro, you talking all that shit? Identify yourself. I know it's you, Flaco. And of course, Flaco later on said, no, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. But of course, there was no one else on earth that knew this shit, right? And so it got a little personal, a little back and forth. And I just said, you know what? Fuck it, bro. And I started exposing how the things he used to tell me about his wife, how they argued all the time, fought, and fucking she was cheating on him and whatever. And I said, man, fuck her. Because I never liked her in the first place because I seen a homie at the time going downhill. So call me a hypocrite. Yes, I did say something about his wife. Yes, I did. After he was talking about my family, after he was talking about shit, but whatever. Time moves on, right? So yeah, I did do that. But it's hard for me to disrespect someone's wife when he's beating on her. Like, you've disrespected her way more than I ever can, bro. And so that leads me to the next person, okay? Because there was one other. And I don't know if you guys recall a guy named Lakra. That's what they call him, right? I like to forget about him because he's very forgettable until the other day. So This guy, I guess, was a supporter of mine. Used to watch the channel, jump on the lives, said he sent $5 or $10. I don't know, right? But he started a channel a few years back. And when he started a channel, everybody was supportive. Everybody was pretty much supportive. He used to wear a mask and everything. And I'd get at him behind the scenes, you know, because he reached out to me and I was like, yeah, bro, you should just fuck that mask. Just take that mask off. Be more personable with the people, unless you got something to hide. If you're trying to not disclose your identity or whatever you're doing for whatever reason, I get it. But if not, you want to be more personable. You know, you want to put a face to the fucking voice. So I would give him little heads up with this channel. Yeah, if you do this, if you do that, you're good, right? And there was never no animosity, never no beef, never no disrespect, none of that. In fact, we were on a couple lives together, and I think he wanted me to bring him on my lives. But at the time, man, I was going through a move. I was moving. I had some shit going on, right? So we never got to link up like that. But we jump on a Convict Perspective live. I'd see him there. I'd jump on, or he'd jump on, whatever. It was always respectful. Then I started to notice a little bit of disrespect, a little envy. He started to be disrespecting me and other channels on his channel. And I called him like, hey, bro, you talking about me? I knew, but you know, I play it off. You talking about me? No, homie, I'm not talking about you. You know, I got love for you, bro. I always had love for you. I respect you. Other people. All right, cool. And then it would get worse and worse. And then I just knew straight up. But still, I wasn't mad at the man. I was like, if that's what it's going to take, a lot of people figure if you talk shit about a bigger channel, someone who's successful, that it's going to help blow your channel up. It does sometimes, just like for a few days, and then your 15 seconds of fame passes, and then they're still doing them, and you realize, like, man, what am I going to talk about now? You know, you build your channel and your reputation by the content of your content, and by you got to have charisma. There's a lot of things. You got to have that it factor. If you don't got it, then you'll never have it. You can work on it, but that's about it. So anyways, as time moves forward, I'm with my family. I take my family on a trip. We're at the beach. We're doing our thing. We're having a good time. And my phone starts blowing up. Everyone's texting me, you know, everyone that I fuck with. And I'm seeing this thing. This guy who I never had issues with or never had problems with is going to expose me. He's going to expose Gunners Collective. He has this big exposing thing he's going to do live. And he's got more people, 400 or 500 people in there, more people than he's ever had compared to the 30, 40 people he usually got, right, in his lives. All these people are in his live, and I'm like, wow, I'm in his live. Like, what the fuck's he going to say about me? Did he find out that my dick is actually bigger than I say it is, right? Like, what's he going to say? And for an hour and a half, I heard this dude almost cry, sniveling, talking about how I didn't want to help him with his channel. Look, I'm not obligated to help a man with his channel. You know, and how he supported me, but Gunner's a hypocrite. Gunner's a fucking an asshole. Gunner's this. I didn't know where it was coming from. But out of all the exposing he did, nothing got exposed other than the fact that he wanted to give me a hug and that the vato was very emotional. That was it. That was all I got out of it. That's all anyone got out of it. You should have seen the comment section. People were like, bro, when are you going to get to the exposing? You've been here for an hour with the sniffles. They're going to start calling you not Stifler from American Pie, but the Sniffler from Mexican Pie. What are you doing? Right? So that right there kicked off a chain reaction of disrespect. He felt he could disrespect me. He started to talk about my child, started to talk about my family, my mother, you know, my peoples. So I'm a counterpuncher, of course. You know what I'm saying? I said one thing, the one thing that I knew would hurt him. I said his wife looked like AC motherfucking Green from the Lakers, right? That's all I said. You know, he's married to an African-American woman, actually a good woman. She's good people. I've had conversations with her in the past. She reached out to me, called me, was trying to kill the noise, right? And no disrespect there. I didn't try to stalk his old lady or reach out to her or none of that. She got my phone number, called me, and was like, man, I'm sorry about this and that. I'm sorry that my husband's going crazy and doing this. How can we, what's the remedy for this? How can we do it? And I said, look, I never had no issues with him. He started this bullshit. I guess he thought it would help his channel, but all it's doing is showing division. And he called me chapete. He started playing the north-south shit because he's from Southern California. And he called me buster. He called me a lot of things. And he talked about my kids. Well, I said his wife looked like AC Green. You know, and then I made another video about him beating on his wife because she was sending photos to other content creators saying that he had did domestic violence to her. And so with that, oh, Gunners, he's talking about my wife. Yeah, but you're not, no one's on you about talking about my children and my mother and my sisters and my family. And no one's on you about that. You know, it's crazy. These dudes will say a lot of shit. And then when you say something back, they're the victim. They play the victim role. And everyone's, oh, Gunner this, Gunner that, because I'm the bigger channel. I get more people watch me So of course it makes me to be the villain. But remember, like I say, I'm a counterpuncher. I'm only striking back. The Empire's going to strike back. Obi-Wan has taught me well, right? You know what I'm saying? Counterpuncher I am, yes, right? I'll get my Yoda on. I'll counterpunch. I've never started an issue or started shit with people. I've only struck back. Okay, I think the only person that I ever went at where I kind of like antagonized the situation was on Paru, Whack 100. I'm going to keep it honest. There's no reason for me to lie. You got my life is out there. People have seen me. Now, you don't expect me to not fight back. You know, do you recall about less than probably a year ago, I was going through family court issues, and only Dubs knew I was going through family court issues. You know, I took my daughter to visit her mother in California. She got, you know, I let her stay for a month to visit her mom, and I was expecting, you know, some co-parenting shit to go on, go visit your mom. She hadn't seen her mom for 8 years. Well, you know, I stood overnight with her and shit like that. So I, you know, hey, we're going to take a risk. We're going to take a chance, you know, visit your mom. And her mom never brought her back. And they were alleging, oh, you did this and you did that. You beat her and you didn't. No, come on. So I had to spend $20,000 of my hard-earned money I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? I had to make some moves to get this money and get a lawyer and fight and go through CPS and all these different things that a single father has to go through because I love my child. And ultimately I won. I knew I was going to win and I got my kid back, and it is what it is. Right. But there was a lot of people immediately, a lot of these trolls, a lot of these same dudes that went to the internet talking about, oh, Gunner does this, Gunner did that, Gunner's in this, Gunner's in that. Right. When they didn't even know what the fuck was going on. They were spreading false propaganda and my business all over the internet. For what? For views? For drama? Now you don't see him talking about it anymore. My daughter's home. Everything's good. What happened? If I was such a bad guy and I did all this shit, why is my daughter home? Come on now. Let's keep it real, right? And no disrespect to my daughter's mother, because I understand, man. I understand that she was trying to get her daughter back. She was trying to be in her daughter's life. I get it. I respect it. You know, she gets her phone call and time will move on and we'll live, right? But there was a lot of people disrespecting my kid. Now, if you guys remember a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, Lakra L was on a live, and me and Dubs were on a live, and we're doing our thing. We're bumping music, kicking back, just doing our own thing, right? And someone goes in there, you know, because people like their chismosas, they like to go back and forth to the lives and cause tension. Hey, this fool's talking about you. Hey, that fool's talking about you. This is what these fucking suckers do. I see a lot of suckers, man, that act like supporters, but the supporters sucking, right? They're going back and forth. They just want to see tension. And they're probably over there in his life saying that we're talking shit about him. I didn't even know he was live. I don't watch other people's lives other than Ryder G. Program time, home. Right? That's it. But they're over there pumping him up, and he starts talking about my child, starts talking about my court case, starts talking about shit, right? He's talking about my family. Then we invite him to come on the live. Dubs sees it, goes on mute, sees that he's talking shit, and we invite him on the live. He jumps on the live, starts disrespecting and everything, and then people are acting like he's the victim. Oh, Gunner talked about his wife. He's talking about my kid just right now. And you know he was doing it. But yeah, if I got to be the hypocrite, if you want to call me the hypocrite, then go ahead and call me that. Yes, I have lightweight disrespected people's family. And let's talk about another thing. You know, why is Dubs getting the shrapnel? Why is he, when they throw the grenade at me, why is he getting hit with the shrapnel? Oh, Dubs, you're a hypocrite because you hang around with Gunner and he talked about people's wives. Yeah, I'm not exposing their sex life. I'm not exposing their fucking past history. I'm just saying your wife looks like fucking a black man and your fucking wife fucking you sent fucking pictures of her pussy to all the homies, bro. How am I disrespecting that? I'm just telling you, she's going to get your ass locked up. Bam, you're doing 15 years in prison. Told you, right? Whatever. So, you know, I'm not trying to justify nothing. I'm saying that's the way it really was. And that's the way it really is. So if you want to call me a hypocrite, whatever. Anyways, fast forward to Dubs. Yesterday, he's getting a lot of hate. He does a video about the whole LA Eyekon thing or whatever. And people are in their disrespect talking about me. That's all they could talk about, all these haters, right? They're just my chorra. They're just on me. And Gunner does it, and you sit there with him. First of all, whatever I do, I stand on it, and I double down. That's me. Whatever Dubs does, that's on him. We're friends, but he's a man. He's going to handle his business just like I'm going to handle my business. That's it. You know, if it's a situation where it's fucking about both of us, then we'll make it happen. But if it's just his thing, it's his thing. You know, I'm not going to disrespect him by fucking jumping all in his mix. That's his mix. Vice versa. So they're talking shit about me to him, though. And then they start bringing up, oh man, Dubs, you disrespected people's family too. But do you guys really know the history on that? Or do you only know what the trolls, when they clip and cut what they say, their narrative that they spin? Do you really watch the whole video or the whole lives to what the original, to where what really happened? There was a guy named Jerry. Looked like a Saudi Arabian. Used to come on our lives all the time. This is back when we were doing the circus thing. Have a whole bunch of people on there. Cool dude, man. I never had an issue with him. You know, he has issues with me all of a sudden, but he was just a homie. Didn't know him, didn't have a channel, just used to just jump on and stare all googly eyes at the women, at their breasts and shit. That was his thing. It was a trip, but he never disrespected. And so about the time all this disrespect started happening, the Mean Girls Club formed and people were falling off and they were mad at me and then Dubs too. And all this, they were having a live one night. I wasn't present at the live. I was somewhere. I don't know where I was, but Dubs was buzzing. He had a little fade, he was faded. And he had Jerry and a few people on there, and Jerry started to disrespect them. He felt brave enough to disrespect online. Talking about someone that weighs 115 pounds that was always cool, but he was joining the Mean Girls Club. He was going to join the bandwagon of the people talking shit. So he started to disrespect Dubs, and Dubs caught it like, hey, bro, what the fuck you talking about? And they started to go back and forth. And at that point, he started to say, man, I'll get my uncles. I'll get to my family. We'll fuck you up. And Dubs said, man, fuck you and your family, bro. He wasn't talking about the women. He was talking about this guy's the one that brought up his uncles and his cousins, and they'll jump on Dubs, and Dubs was like, fuck you and them. Oh, man, the world went crazy. The internet stopped. It went viral, right? Dubs disrespected this guy and his family. He's talking about his uncles and his cousins, right? But people don't realize that, and then that dude started to disrespect for no reason. There's no justifying nothing, but it's facts and truths. So when I get called a hypocrite, or Dubs gets called a hypocrite for fucking with me, I'm going to stand on what I said about Flaco's wife. I'm going to stand on what I said about fucking L's wife. I didn't never call her fucking the N-word like L said. Oh, he called her the N-word. Come on, bro. We know that never happened. I said she looks like AC Green. I just said it again. I'll say it one more time. She looks like AC Green, right? That's it. Whatever. Run with it, right? After everything you said about my kids and my family, I felt that's a counterpunch. Tas, got you, right? With Flaco, man, I never liked her. I never trusted her. For all I know, she had my homeboy Angel Fernandez killed. But that's history. Where does that come from? What movie, right? So look, all I ever said about her was like, hey, man, Flaco, like, she's all bad. She's all bad. And when he started to disrespect my family first, like they always do, then and only then did I counterpunch with, hey, bro, don't be talking that shit, because you be calling me every night saying, you talk about, hey, man, my fucking wife, her fucking pussy blown out. Like, come on now, stop. These are just truths. There's no comparison to what Compa Raider and Rich Homie Juan and all them guys are doing over there, being all fucking metiche. What? Tell me every word. I want to know about LA Eyekon's wife's past and who she was with and what guys she was with. Man, that's none of our business. That dude he didn't deserve, look at LA Eyekon might deserve a lot of shit. He might deserve a role in the next Groundhog movie, but he definitely doesn't deserve his wife, or she doesn't deserve, fuck what he deserves. She doesn't deserve to be talked about or brought into the bullshit men conversations about her sexual history or her past or anything like that. She ain't did shit to nobody. See, I never did that, man. I never talked about how many dudes Flaco's wife was with or how many dudes L's wife was, because it was none of my business, and I wasn't disrespecting the woman. I was disrespecting them. I guess I did disrespect L's wife. My bad. You don't look like AC Green. Slightly like Magic Johnson, but not like AC Green. I could have been an asshole and said Sam Cassell. Anyways, with that being said, look, and I know L's going to go all crazy. Look, he's talking about my wife again. I'm just explaining, you never get held accountable for talking about my children or talking about me in the first place. Talking about wanting to watch me fucking masturbate and all this weird shit that came out of your mouth. You want a hug. 1 minute you hate me. Mean mugs, shoulder shrugs, and hugs. That's what you wanted, right? It's weird. But to be compared, Gunner's a hypocrite. He talks about people's families only after they talk about mine, man. And you know what? And I'm learning to not do that no more. Come on, man. I grew up as a gangster. Like, man, you fucking want it, you can get it, right? And with this internet shit, man, you have to just do it verbally, right? And so, yeah, there has been things that I'm ashamed of in the past that I've said that I probably shouldn't have said. But again, nothing was just because, or I didn't start no shit. I don't start no stuff, won't be no stuff, right? I just end it. And that's what it is. With that being said, if you want to call me a hypocrite, then I'll be that hypocrite. thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly and honestly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. You can take it how you want to take it.